everybody? It is hot out here today. I'm not complaining. I'm just sharing how much I love it. Welcome to the Martial Arts of Sales. This is the opening monologue. This is the exciting part. This is part 5 of a 5-part series on why you need to have an effective sales script during the sales process. Number 5, we're going to talk about the breaking down of a script. In other words, I'm going to break it down into components of the storytelling format. You're going to absolutely love it. It's an exciting part. It's my favorite part. It's because all the work you did before it, this becomes showtime. So I'm going to break it down. I'm actually going to sell and break it down through a script that I use currently whenever I'm selling or offering social media and I'm talking to a prospect. It's going to be absolutely exciting. So we're going to break it down into the opening of the script, the body of the script, the closing of the script. And I'll tell you why that's important. Because even movie producers, they use script. When I was in the movie industry for 2 years, I might have read close to 1,000 scripts, no exaggeration. I would break it down into ingredients and what the story is going to feel like. And with that, when you break it down, it could determine, what your box office revenues would be, what your video sales would be, what your international sales would be. So I applied the same techniques in my personal scripts right now. So we're going to talk about a product that I'm selling, which is social media, and I'm going to role play as if I'm the actual client and also the salesperson so that you could get the mindset of what a script should do for you. Now, before we dig into the topic, let's go to the introduction. Welcome to the Martial Arts of Sales. I'm excited today. You know why? Because it's part 5 of a 5-part series on why you need to have a sales script in the sales process. Part number 5, we're going to talk about the breakdown of the script. And the way I'm going to break it down is I'm going to role play with myself as a customer and also the salesperson. And I'm just going to give you some techniques on how, if you build the right script, how you can be more effective in storytelling. So the breakdown is going to be the story breakdown. Okay? So part number 5 is breaking down the script in the storytelling components. Okay? Before we dig into the topic, you know what to do. If you're watching this on YouTube for the first time, hit the subscription button below. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. And also share your comments and share the video with others. Now let's dig into this. Part 5 is the most exciting part. Why? Because I call it showtime. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where all the previous 4 steps that you've taken, this is where the action is. Okay? So for example, whenever I'm selling my social media or my sales training program, I have a script that I use for that. It's already built in me. I do it without reading the script. But I'm going to go over it with you so that you understand why a script built this way is so important. Alright, so let's go. So here's the way it works. Hey John, this is Paul Cruz with the Martial Arts of Sales. I'm going to be brief and to the point. I know you're busy. Now why did I say that? Because you have to understand them. They probably get a lot of calls and they're probably frustrated because you got them on the phone call. So you're letting them know that you understand that they're busy and that you're going to be briefer to the point. In other words, that puts their guards down. Does that make sense? I've been using that for 30 years and it works to perfection. It's like a boxer, the jab, and then they come with the right punch, right? Once you do it all the time, it works. Jump shots, when you shoot it the same way all the time, it works. So, that's the opening, because remember, we only have 3 seconds to make an impression. Okay. Once that puts them at ease, well not at ease, it freezes them. The next thing I follow up with, do you have any idea, John, what's going on in your industry right now? No, I don't. Now you see what happened? I got him from wanting to hang up, being frustrated that I called him, but I asked a question. Do you have any idea? People want to know what's going on in the industry. And if you call them and you're telling them that you know something they don't know, that's a curiosity question. And here's what I do next. Hey, John, right now, there's a lot of traffic in your area for your services. Did you know that? People may say yes. People may say no. If they don't answer, that's okay too. So what I say is, there's a lot of traffic in your area. Did you know that? No, I didn't know that. Well, what I'm looking for is a local reputable company that I can bring that traffic to. And then I stop. I pause a second so that I could hear their response. Then the next thing I do is I follow. I say, listen, what I would like to do, John, is I would like to ask you a few important questions about your customers, the type of customers you like, the type of customers you would like to see, and if we are a match, then we can do some business. If not, we'll part as ways. Is that fair enough? Yeah, that's fair enough. Now, Paul, let me ask you this question. How much is this going to cost? These are the two objections that you will usually get, but let me show you how to diffuse it. Well, John, it doesn't matter whether it's $5,000 or $25,000. You don't even know what I'm offering you. Does that make sense? Most people will back up on that. Because how are they going to ask you for a price of something you haven't even told them what you're offering? Does that make sense? So now, once you get through that of the opening, now you go into the discovery questions within the opening. You start to ask the customers questions. Hey, John, how long you been in business? How many employees do you have? How many customers do you currently have right now for your services? How many new customers would you like to take on in additional than what you have right now? Do you advertise? What are you advertising? Do you have social media? Do you have Facebook? Do you have Instagram? You got to ask all those questions. Why are those questions important? Because if they don't answer those questions, they're not going to give you an order. Then you get specific. Bottom line, John, is how much revenue do you generate every year? Is it $1 million, $5 million, $10 million? That's a path of least resistance question. Why do you need to know that? Because you need to know that when it's time to ask for the order, that you know they're qualified and can afford what you're offering them. You don't want to wait till the end to find out they can afford it. Because then you lose all power, you lose all control, you lose all value. Because now you're going to try to drop the price so that you can make a sale. Don't ever do that. So once they give me the numbers, they give me how much revenues they generate, they tell me how many employees they have, they answer all of my questions. The next thing I do, I say, John, if I could put 10 customers in front of you right now, and let's assume that the customer average product is $10,000. Let's just say. So John, if I put 10 customers in front of you right now, how many of those can you potentially close or convert into a customer? Let's say they say 50%. That means 5 out of 10 you're going to be able to convert into sales, right? Yes. Okay, great. Let's just go simple. Let's just say you only close 10%. That's 1 a month. So John, if you're able to close 1 deal a month at $10,000, that's an additional $120,000 in new business, correct? Yes. And on $1 million revenue, that's 12% increase, right? Yeah. Can you see yourself doing that, John? Yeah, I could see myself doing that. Okay, great. So, how much are you willing to invest in your business knowing what you know right now? If you know that you could generate an extra $120,000 and you are absolutely in control, 100%, what is that worth to you? How much are you willing to invest to generate an extra $120,000? And remember this and consider this, John. We're talking about 10% closing ratio, conversion ratio. You said that you can convert 50%, right? Yes. So how much are you willing to invest? Well, I don't know, Paul. Really? Okay. Would you invest 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000? You tell me. Okay, I'll invest 20,000. So you're willing, John, to invest $20,000 that you have absolutely control over, knowing you can generate an extra $120,000. Did I read that right? Did I hear that right? Yes, I could. Okay, John, let me ask you this question. Are you liquid for that? This is where it gets interesting, guys. Not everybody's confident to ask that. I ask that all the time. Are you liquid for that? What that means is, John, can you write a check for $20,000 today that it will clear so that you can invest in your business? Yes, Paul, I could do that. Great. I have some great news for you, John. My process or my product or my services, get this, John, is only $5,000. Now, what did I just do there, guys? I did my job. That's the opening. I just qualified them that they have the money to afford my products or services. I figured out what revenues they generate. It's like a doctor and a patient. They ask you questions. They diagnose what you have. Then they take you and they give you the physical. Right? Well, that's what I just did with this customer. Now, that's the opening. Now we're going to break down the body. John, great. Now let me tell you how I can help you get those customers. I start to go into the body. I start to tell them the stories about why they need a website or why they need a social media package and how I can show them how to increase sales. But in order to do that, in order to give the product and services more value, they have to see the numbers first. They have to see what they could really do. Because they can't get those numbers unless they have the services. Does that make sense? So when you go into the body, like I do, I start to talk about traffic, how I'm going to get them traffic. I start to talk to them about, how many sales they're really looking at. How can they improve on converting more leads into sales? Where are their problems? Do they have salespeople? What's wrong with the salespeople? Do they even call, their followers or their subscribers? So I start to dig into that. Then I start to give them my story on how this all works. I talk about funnels. I talk about, ads. I talk about, SEO, optimization. I talk about everything. But at the end of the day, what they need to know is, can they get the right leads and can they convert those leads into sales? Or can they get the right prospect to convert them into right customers? That's what you have to understand. So at the end of the day is, the body is the storytelling. Now you have to prove what you just said in the opening. Does that make sense? So when you go to the closing in the script, you're going to know they have the money. So they cannot tell you they don't have the money, because you could use that against them. So in the body, I'm creating the emotions. I'm talking about solutions. I'm showing them how they're going to be able to get those 10 qualified customers a month. Now this is how I end the phone call. After I give them my presentation and we have a dialogue, that's the body. Now it's time where the rubber meets the road. Now this is where closing is an attitude. This is where you earn the right to ask for the order. And here's how I end it. After I give my presentation and they agree to most everything I said and we have a dialogue, I lead them into the path of asking for the order. And this is how I do it, no matter what the product or services is. John, do you like the idea? Yes. John, does the idea make sense? Yes. Do you see and understand the value and how this services is going to benefit your business and solve the problems you have right now, which is you don't have enough sales, right, John? Yes, yes. Great, John. How do you want to secure this position? Why do I say position? Because I want them to know they have to take the ownership position. Nobody wants to buy, but everybody wants to own. At that point, they cannot say they don't like the idea, because they just told me they did. They cannot tell me it doesn't make sense, because they said it did. Something cannot make sense if you don't like it. Or even if you do like it, it may not make sense, unless you make it make sense. Does that make sense? Okay? And then they cannot say that they don't see the value, that it will help the business, because they just said it. So let's assume that the customer decides to say no, they don't want to do it. Well, it comes down to three things. Either they really don't understand it, they really don't like it, or it's you, meaning me. Usually comes down to you. So, when they tell me no, at that point, I either feel comfortable to do a follow call, or I push. I always push. And if I believe they need to own it, I'm going to push. So I say, John, simply this. I know it's not the money. I know you understand it. The real issue is that you don't know me, my company, and we never done business, right? Yes, Paul, that's it. Now, that's where I want it to be. That's where the script leads you. I call it a self-rap. You start to resell yourself again. And you start to talk about why you need to do business with Paul Cruz, John, and my company, Martial Arts of Sales. So now you make it personal. That's what you do. And even when you do it at that point, you may need a follow call. But you always got to box the people in. That's what you have to do. That's how you break down the script. The script leads you into that path. It's called the straight line method. This is what I do whenever I'm selling, an online presence package, or if I'm offering my sales training package. I do the same thing. It doesn't change. But the most important part is the opening, where you have to tighten it up. You have to qualify them. You must do that. And that makes you different, and can make you different than the average salesperson, because you can't be afraid of that. If you can't ask this question, how the hell are you going to ask for the order? Where there's a lot at stake at that point. Does that make sense? So, anyway, I hope this has been helpful. This is part 5 of the 5-part series on why you need a sales script. I want to thank all of you for being part of the Martial Arts of Sales. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you think it can help others, please share it with others. And I do appreciate your comments. I really do. Till we speak again, I say goodbye for now. This is Paul Cruz with the Martial Arts of Sales. Have a great day. Bye for now.